Absolutely. Let's talk about some political stuff if we can. The Taliban. The Taliban, the longest war in American history. Man, that was a complete disaster, but that's a different story. So after occupying Afghanistan for 20 years, the Biden administration had made a choice to pull out. Within 12 hours of the announcement, the Taliban seized control of the country. And now they're in control. They're in control of the country. And so with that, there are rumors that China's always up to something.
And everything.
China got their hands in everything. They're the real mob. China.
Yes. Respectfully.
Yeah. China, there's rumors that China will be working hand in hand with the Taliban, the new Taliban government.
Allegedly. I want to be on the record, allegedly.
I mean, it makes sense though if you really think about it, because the Taliban is seeking legitimacy, and they want to be, recognized. It's not in anybody's benefit for them to have embargoes and for them not to, be the black sheep of the world. So they want to clean up their image. They want to be embraced by the world. The second largest economy in the world is China. They already know that America is not going to be their friend. China's in the region. China controls the region. So it would make sense for them to make an alliance with China. And it would make sense for China to make an alliance with them, especially the bad blood between Afghanistan and America. So how do you feel about this situation?
I'm going to listen to my grandmother. God bless her soul. Certain political issues I'm going to stay away from, but I'll touch on real quick. I hinted at it earlier this year. So if the United States is ghost, let's have a little power talk, right? Taliban is like Jimenez. Now, if China comes into the fold, that's Canaan. Now, what are we going to do if Putin decides to say, okay, now this is what I told you guys. If you have so when there was supposed to be the formation of the Amero, which never came into existence, but Bitcoin now became so popular because I'm old enough to know and remember when like Big Brother was feared. Now we choose to hold Big Brother in our hand and go to sleep with it at night. The Amero was supposed to be the thing that was going to be the global currency. Didn't happen, then Bitcoin came. So if we all of a sudden have, because Bitcoin technically would be classified as a foreign currency. And if China and Taliban teams up, what is stopping Putin from joining forces to then take us out of the picture? To be honest, I don't know many American investors that are excited about an American company outside of Apple and Microsoft. I don't think that is a coincidence. I think that is very strategic. And if you were to take over a country, for those of you that were involved in other markets before Market Mondays, the best way to do that is to affect the currency in which a country or a neighborhood deals with. So if the value of the dollar from 1950 is almost dead, but if Bitcoin takes off even more, and there's a push to go towards that, and we come off, or the countries that run the oil regime decide to switch from our dollar to Bitcoin, that would drive it to zero. It would be very easy to take over our country, and it could be the death of a dynasty. So please be mindful when you invest in some of these assets that you're looking at the game inside of the game. But for clear, and I don't know for sure who owns Bitcoin, but let's say it's either Putin, and I put the post up a couple of weeks ago with Samsung and Toshiba, and right. But if foreign entities own the majority of Bitcoin as a group, and the world is traveling and saying, I want Bitcoin, what lasting effects will it have in terms of hurting us? And we're on the last leg anyway. Scary times. Do as you please, though.
It's important for Americans. One thing, traveling overseas, like especially going to Europe and stuff like that, you realize that when you watch like the BBC or like news overseas, it's a real world news. Like they tap in with everything. When you watch American, it's 99% American domestic. We're very ignorant to what's going on.
Opinion pieces, really. It's not much journalism anymore.
No, it's not. That's why I don't even. My mom watches MSNBC all day, and I'm like, this is just like gossip. Like all they do is just bash Republicans. Fox, all they do is just bash Democrats. There's no like balance.
Middle ground.
There's no balance, right? So I say that to say, not a lot of us are being informed of what's going on overseas. But why is it important to know what's going on overseas? For a variety of different standpoints. But since this is an educational show about investing, a lot of your investments are tied to overseas, especially Asia, especially China. So it's important to know what's going on in the region in all of these different places, because instability in the region, new regimes, new governments, all of that can affect your investments. So like I said, that's just one reason why you should be informed of what's going on with international affairs. Even bigger than that, I mean, just to be educated, you live in the world, so you should know what's going on in the world, and you should have because the news that we get is biased. So you can influence people through media. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to influence people through media. If you say it enough, it's just true. Doesn't necessarily have to be true, but it's true by default. So we believe things because we're told to believe things because that's what the media is reporting. Keep in mind, the media is only owned by a few companies, and they only are owned by a few people. So that's that Ian talk. I gotta stop now. I'm walking down that path. Oh man.
Stay away from that. Yep.
Yes. So let's talk about, speaking about that, 10 cent. 10 cent. The not 50 cents knockoff, but 10 cent, the company. So 50% of 10 cent shareholders profit go to Chinese national policy. Is that correct?
You guys can go look on Kyle Bass's, if you guys have read Money Master the Game, Chief Investment Officer of Heyman Capital, one of the greatest investors of all time. He posted about it last Friday. Once again, though, given we talked about it before, how China chooses to run their country. If you are number two and you want to become the preeminent leader in the world, what's one of the things that you could do to put the country first in a power position? Begin to take off more profits. Here, we let the entrepreneurs and the companies be the rulers of the land. China chooses to have the rulers be the ruler of the land. So if they begin to take profits from the companies, build their coffers, which you build a war chest for war. That's all I'm gonna say. So, because I don't want to go on this conspiracy theory lane, I'll leave that to Jones and everybody else. But if you can see the writing on the wall, if you're willing to sacrifice for 10 or 15 more years, and if we have bad leadership, maybe for 2 more administrations, like I don't know what happened to Jack Ma, but we can assume that he was on vacation for a little bit. We haven't heard him talk out, and then all of a sudden, there are a lot of things that began to happen in the Chinese stock market at one time, and companies that are in different sectors. That is a broader macro issue that had to be addressed. That's why when you guys kept asking, like, what do you think of Chinese companies? I'm like, unless the macroeconomic environment there is safe, you can't invest in soil that is not safe for you to do so. But from a national policy and foreign policy strategy perspective, I think is absolutely brilliant. But it may not pan out so well for us.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Can we get like an air horn? What would Joe do? He play outstanding. We need like some light music or something real quick. Shout out to Joe Corey. Like we need to lighten the mood real quick. Well, I'm about to tell you guys.
Yes, you get a little bit.
Our biggest competitive threat is China. And for those of you that have ever traveled to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Japan, Korea, China, you know they are way ahead of us already. They've been ahead of us for decades. So that's that.
There you have it. Market Mondays. You get a little bit of everything on Market Mondays. You get investment talk, you get relationship talk, you get political talk. It's a very well-rounded show, if I do say so.
Talk about reptilians like this too.
And shout out to MSNBC. I have no hard feelings. I like MSNBC. I'm just saying it's just slightly biased. That's all.